Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. Going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days for today's second video. So this takes us into the second week of November. Now, I just released JMA Friday a couple of hours ago, and that's your month ahead look ahead, and it is suggesting a very mild November. Now with the JMA and CFS V2 models, and certainly the first half of November I think we will have a lot of mild weather. There's still a question mark about the second half of November. Will we get it colder in the second half of November? It's been a trend over the past few months that the first part of the month, the first half of the month, has tended to be the mildest phases of the month. So in the second half of the month has tended to have the colder weather. And this has been going on since August, really. So I'll talk you through weather next week, 10 days anyway. Check out the month ahead look ahead when you finish with this video. If you're interested about the weather for Bonfire Night, by the way, I've got a final update for Bonfire Night coming up for you this evening. Now, having said that, I've got weekend broadcast tomorrow, which of course will cover the weekend and Bonfire Night on Monday as well. So not really the final update for Bonfire Night, but it's sort of a final exclusive update just for Bonfire Night, if you see what I mean. The weekend broadcast will cover that time frame. Right, so I'll just talk you through the Christmas shop. We have opened Gav's Christmas shop for another year, and I'm on the page right now. So this is our Amazon Christmas page here. I've taken off the snowflakes because it causes the video to buffer, so I can't show you the snowflakes, but you'll know you're on the right page because there will usually be snowflakes fluttering down your screen. So there are a couple of ways that you can do your Christmas shopping at Amazon via GazWeather. You can click through any of the Amazon banners that you see here on this page, such as that one just there, and just go directly through to Amazon and then buy whatever you want, because you've gone from GazWeather to Amazon. We get a review fee on things that you're purchasing. You may know that you've gone from our website to their website. There's also a search widget in there. This is the Amazon search widget. So with this, you just enter whatever item that you are looking for, click go, and you'll have a series of options come up for the item that you might want to buy. And then again, you just click that item. You'll go through to Amazon, and you'll buy your Christmas present as normal at Amazon. It's just purely the fact that you're going from our website to their website, but means that we get a revenue thing on the things that you are buying. So you're not doing anything different. You're still doing your shopping as you would anyway at Amazon. It's just the fact that you've gone from GazWeather to Amazon, either through the Amazon banners or through the search widget that allows us to get that revenue fee on the presents that you are buying. We'll be plugging away at this right way through. Chris, you've got plenty of time, of course, to do your Christmas shopping, but if you have got any Christmas shopping to do at Amazon, please consider doing it through GazWeather. There has been a couple of emails that I've received about the search widget not appearing. If you're running ad blockers, you will need to disable the ad blockers. And can I request, please, that you turn off your ad blockers when you're on GazWeather anyway, because we're primarily ads funded, although we are doing the Patreon and PayPal thing as well as an extra revenue fee. We are primarily ads funded. We do ask that if and when you're on GazWeather, you disable the ad blockers if you can. But the search widget will not work, and the Amazon banners won't appear if you have ad blockers enabled on this website. So you've got to disable those, and then you'll be able to see the Amazon banners and the search widget. So I think that's where the confusion lies for a couple of people who emailed earlier on today. Right, so that's that done and dusted. Let's get on with your video update. A big thank you to all of the people doing their Christmas shopping through Gaz Shop, of course. Right, so Central England temperature. Let's have a quick look at this CET for this year, 2018, of course. So if I just scroll you down, you'll be able to see that we announced this yesterday. The CET is in for October. It came out at 10.6, an anomaly bang on the 61 to 1990 average, just 0.0. Not very often you see that, but it was bang on the 61 61 to 1990 average are very, very close for both 81 to 2010 and 71 to 2000 as well. September, that also is very close to average, a CET for September of 13.7, an anomaly of 0.1 of a degree above average. So these 2 months, September and October, coming out very, very, very close to average. For November, we've got the first day in, provisional for the 1st of November, we're sitting at 6.8, an anomaly of over 2 degrees below average just for the first day of the month. That's going to get a boost over the coming few days. It is going to be turning a lot milder, especially as we get through into next week. But for the first day of the month, we actually come out with an anomaly of a couple of degrees below average. Of course, it's all down to September, how this autumn is going to pan out. So, I mean, September and October both coming out very, very close to average. November, therefore, will decide whether this autumn turns out to be a milder than average autumn, or indeed whether it turns out to be a colder than average autumn. And it's the same for precipitation, really. There hasn't been a big deviation with precipitation anomalies either through September and October. So if we was to have a very dry November, we would come away with a drier than average autumn. Conversely, if we had a very wet November, we would come away with a wetter than average autumn. So November, it doesn't happen like this very often for our seasons, but November is going to be the deciding month as to where this autumn overall comes out. Of course, meteorological autumn running from the first day of September to the final day of November. It's a little bit different if you're looking at it astronomically. That is running from kind of like 21st of September to 21st of December. But for meteorological autumn, it's the first day of September to the final day of November. So, yeah, November's going to be really critical as to where this autumn comes out. And we should wait and see. Because of this November forecast will be released tomorrow, by the way. Be the first video up. So we've also got the climate averages in from the UK Met Office as well. So this is how the temperatures look for October 2018 UK wide. Very, very close to average month. They get set against 61 to 1990. We see that a small area of Northern Ireland and one little area of West Wales was a bit cooler than average. Most of the parts of the country come out with average temperature anomalies through October. The extreme eastern part of England comes out with a slightly milder than average month, set against 61 to 1990. We can flip that over to the more modern average, 81 to 2010. And then again, we see a very similar story, most places coming out with an average temperature anomaly, set against both 61 to 1990. And 81 to 2010. That, of course, follows on from September, which also was a very close to average month, set against 81 to 2010. We see that some western parts of the country in September were a little bit cooler than average. Most places set against 81 to 2010 average in September. And as far as the 61 to 1990 average is concerned, well, eastern areas are a little bit milder than average during September, but most parts of the country, again, coming out with average temperature anomalies in September. So whichever month we take, September, October, and whichever sort of temperature series we take, 61 to 1990 or 81 to 2010, basically both of the months are coming out very, very close to average. As far as precipitation is concerned, this is how things are looking for October rainfall. Excuse me, anomaly set against 61 to 1990. And once again, we see very, very close to average anomalies. Northern Ireland had quite a dry month, as did some parts of southeast Scotland. Also, interestingly, northwest England, quite a dry month there. And some parts of the south coast were a bit drier than average too. Close to the Wash, across Lincolnshire, we see it was a little bit wetter than average. And northern and western parts of Scotland, also a little bit wetter than average. But the vast majority of the country, again, coming out close to average with precipitation set against 61 to 1990 during in October. And if we move that over to September, you see a very similar story. It's a bit drier in the southeast during September and a bit wetter in the north and west of Scotland and also around northwestern England. Been very dry both months across Northern Ireland, interestingly. But again, not big deviations. So if something dramatic was to happen in November, say we just have a very mild but also a very wet month, that would mean the autumn itself came out as a milder and wetter than average autumn. But conversely, if November was to be very dry but also cold, then the autumn would probably come out as a rather cold and dry autumn. So November really is going to be very, very critical as to how this autumn finishes up with the record books. Now, at the moment, it looks like the first half of November, anyway, is going to be very mild. So this is the GFS temperature and precipitation ensemble chart for Wolverhampton in the Midlands today. We've got the red line here, which is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Wolverhampton. So starting off a little bit cooler than average, going warmer than average over the next few days. The temperature is going to be going milder than average as we get through the first week of November. And then these milder than average conditions are going to continue into the second week of November as well, if this is right. That's the middle of November, just there, 15th through to the 17th, through to the third week of November, actually, at the extended range of the GFS ensemble. And that is also hinting at being milder than average. So if this is right, we're in for quite a long run of mild weather. Once we get today's fairly chilly feel out of the way, from tomorrow onwards, basically, it's milder than average right way through, at least until the middle of November, possibly even a little bit beyond that. As far as rainfall is concerned, more unsettled, perhaps not quite as wet as we thought a few days ago, but nevertheless, it does look as though we are bringing, particularly next week, some quite regular rainfall from off the Atlantic. So mild and unsettled, I suppose, sums it up for the first half of November. Temperature anomalies are milder than average from the 2nd through to the 10th of November, coming out above average with those temperature anomalies for the UK and Ireland. Most parts of Europe also coming out warmer than average in the week ahead. Precipitation anomalies still drier than average. It doesn't matter how much the ensemble charts are indicating rainfall, since we can never get away from these drier than average anomalies. So here we are again, 2nd to the 10th of November, most parts of the UK on the drier than average side, particularly so for eastern parts of England. So having said it's going to be mild and changeable, that actually looks like it's going to be mild and dry through the first half of November. Right, so this is how the GFS is looking for Monday. We've got high pressure to our east on Monday with low pressure out to the west. Could be a bit showery on Monday. That's bonfire night, of course. I'll have more about that this evening. Into Tuesday and Wednesday, low pressure moves in from off the Atlantic, so that turns things quite unsettled through the middle of next week with outbreaks of rain heading in from the west. However, the progress of that low pressure is being blocked by high pressure sitting up to our east. So in a week's time, this is Friday the 9th of November, we've got high pressure in over Scandinavia. It's trying to get winds into the east as these areas of low pressure in the Atlantic are being blocked with the jet stream going something like that. That's relatively mild air associated with that high pressure over Scandinavia, although cold air is beginning to dig in around the back of the high pressure across western parts of Russia, but essentially most parts of Europe are quite mild with this area of high pressure in a week's time. Now, as you get up towards next weekend, this is the weekend of the 10th and the 11th of November, the high pressure over Scandinavia actually begins to win that battle, and winds start to turn into more of a southeasterly direction, so starting to bring the air in from off the continent. Upper air temperatures are looking really very mild indeed. That's quite a warm upper air temperature that we see there, but there are hints of an inversion, which is where it's colder on the surface than it is aloft. So this is the dew point for 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday next week, and you see that despite those really quite warm upper air temperatures, actually on the surface the surface temperatures are quite cold, so probably cold enough for ground frost at the very least, and maybe some dense fog patches as well if the skies are clear. That's always something that we have to bear in mind with high pressure from now onwards through to around March or April, when we've got this area of high pressure, it may be mild, it may be warm aloft, but down on the surface, it could be quite a lot colder as the heat radiates out in space very quickly. Cools down on the surface, you get radiative fog, you get frost as well. That limits the temperature potential. So not as mild on the surface next weekend as the upper air temperatures are suggesting, with that area of high pressure turning wind into a southeasterly direction. Very quickly, where that high pressure begins to recede back in towards the west of Russia on this GFS run as the Atlantic starts to break through again. And then into more extended range, this is Tuesday, 13th of November, low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic, and we keep those areas of low pressure out to the northwest of the country to the very end of a GFS run, which is Sunday the 11th of November, although we have got some high pressure down to our south. This is going to be the parallel. Sorry about that. This is going to be the parallel GFS run. So next year, the parallel GFS run will become the operational run of the GFS. It's like the latest version, if you like. It's being run in parallel to the current operational run, which we're just looking at. So that's why it's called the parallel run. And as we get through to next year, that will become the operational run of the GFS. It's always, every year they kind of upgrade the model and give it a makeover, and so this is going to be the new operational run next year. And of course, as these upgrades occur year by year, the model should be getting more reliable. So this is again how the parallel run is looking for Monday. Low pressure out to southwest, could be some showery bursts of rain on Bonfire Night. More about that later. So middle of next week, low pressure comes in from off the Atlantic, bringing quite a bit of rain into the west. Again, we see this low pressure being blocked, its progress into the country being blocked by high pressure, both up to the north and also to the east of the country. That's how we look at day 10 with the parallel GFS run. And again, we've got this battle going on with low pressure out in the Atlantic. High pressure is to our east, kind of like a wall of high pressure across central parts of Europe. The air's being brought up from the south, so it certainly is a mild airstream, although again it's possible we might get a little bit of an inversion down on the surface. Beyond day 10 into extended range with the parallel run of the GFS, the high pressure begins to build more strongly over Scandinavia. So this low pressure starts to slip away towards the Bay of Biscay, and the high pressure over Scandinavia is having a real go there at getting those winds into the east as we're running into the middle of November. In fact, Scandinavian High does win that battle. It turns the winds into the east as we get towards the end of the parallel run of the GFS up to Friday 16th of November. The wind is easterly. It's not particularly cold, but it's interesting that the model once had that high pressure over Scandinavia winning the battle. That's how the upper air temperatures are looking. As I say, they're not particularly cold with those easterly winds, but it's more of a pattern that is interesting. The fact that the high pressure over Scandinavia is able to win that battle. And of course, if you get high pressure over Scandinavia, if you get wind into the east, eventually you'll start to draw in colder air, especially if this continues into December, and of course beyond that into January and February. You get those easy winds and Scandinavian highs, things will get colder and colder through the winter. That's how the ECMWF is looking. Low pressure is out to the north and west on Monday. There might be some showery rain then. Early next week, this low pressure is driving in from off the Atlantic up to the middle of next week, bringing quite a bit of rain into west-east areas, getting the driest of the weather. In a more extended range, this battle continues with high pressure continuing to sit to the east of the country. Low pressure is out to west, but wind is being dragged up from a southerly direction. So it's likely to be very mild through the course of next week for a time. Anyway, by the time we get through to day 10, which is Monday 12th of November, we're beginning to break down that high pressure and return the wind back into an Atlantic flow. Nothing cold doing there. And then as we get through to the GM, this is how it's looking. So starting off on Monday, very similar conditions. Low pressures out to the west on Wednesday next week, high pressures to the east, but winds coming up from the south, so rain in the west, probably quite a bit of dry weather in the east, and temperatures should be mild, possibly even very mild. In the more extended range, this is a week's time, and we see quite a block scene actually to our north. High pressure is through the Norwegian Sea and going over towards Scandinavia, with this low pressure out west of us, the jet streams digging down there somewhere as well. And as we go into the end of the GM run, we actually find the high pressure kind of winning the battle as we get through to day 10, which is Monday 12th of November. High pressure over Scandinavia having a really good job at getting those winds into the east as this low pressure is becoming stuck across southern England and northern parts of France. However, upper air temperatures are mild. There's no real cold associated with that Scandinavian high, except around the back of it. Winter is plunging down into western Russia just there. So you see how this works. The Scandinavian highs. So if you get the high pressure centre there, you'll get the cold air coming out of the Arctic and Siberia down into the western Russia. Of course, if the easy winds last long enough, then that cold air is going to be dragged out of the west of Russia across Europe, and eventually it can arrive in the UK and into Ireland. But that will be more particularly from around the end of November and into December onwards. So what we can say is that next week is looking unsettled and mild. We can say that quite definitively. Particularly the early and middle part of next week could be very unsettled in the west because of quite heavy rain. Later next week, it looks like high pressure to the east will exert its influence through to the country. So by next weekend, we could actually be a little bit cooler from frost and fog, but quite dry conditions then. And then as you get up towards the middle part of November, the question is, will the Atlantic break through again, or will that high pressure persist? If the high pressure persists and keeps the wind in from the east, eventually we might start to drag some colder air in from the east. So although there was no sign of a colder second half to November with JMA Friday today, I don't think, because of the way weather patterns are this year, I don't think we can rule out the chance that the second half of November could turn quite a lot colder. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. But certainly the first half of the month, we've talked about this a lot in the videos lately anyway, first half of the month coming out quite mild, in fact very mild potentially, and also unsettled for a while before it turns drier towards the end of next week probably. Right, this evening we'll have a final update for Bonfire Night tomorrow. Several updates coming up. Weekend forecast, of course, will begin tomorrow with the Gauss Weather Vince November month-ahead forecast. And on Sunday, we'll have your, I think we're up to update number 10, the 10th winter update will be with you on Sunday. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.